We have a ton of horrific stories to rip at the fabric of your sanity, whether it's Halloween or you're just looking for a scare. Some of them are made up, while others are real-life eyewitness testimonies. Can you suspend your disbelief? If you dare, keep listening. The Architect's Key. There was once a man named Edward who designed and built his own perfect house. He lived in it for many years until he eventually passed away. A new family soon moved in, but whenever they went into the basement where Edward's personal study had been, they would get the feeling that someone was watching them. One day, the father of the new family decided to fix up an old jacket, which every tailor in town had told him was beyond repair. So, he went down to the old study, laid his jacket on a chair, and then tried to see if there was anything in the old desk that could help him mend it. But the drawers were all locked, and he couldn't find a key anywhere. The next morning, he came back down to find the key on the desk, all of the drawers open, and his jacket completely fixed. A mother's love. Some people actively go out looking for ghost encounters, and every once in a while, they find one. When Kevin was a teenager, he and his friends had heard about a dangerous turn on the nearby highway that caused many accidents over the years. It was now haunted. The most well-known story was of a mother who took her own life after her son had crashed his car and died there. It was said around town that her ghost remained at the deadly turn to protect people from ending up like her deceased child. Kevin and his friends decided to put that theory to the test. At night, Kevin drove his friends out to the highway. When the group of boys arrived at the turn, they pulled over. They brought a bag of flour with them and proceeded to sprinkle the white powder on the road, the grass, and the car. The idea was to get footprints to prove that the ghost was indeed real. The boys hopped back in and began to take the car around the turn. Kevin accelerated faster and faster and thump. The car came to an abrupt halt as if someone had slammed down on it with their own two hands. They immediately got out of the car and saw two woman-sized handprints in the white flour on the hood. The ghost in the hall. 4 young women moved into an old New England apartment together. You know, the type with squeaky floorboards and a long, dark hallway. A month after they moved in, one of the roommates realized that her favorite stuffed teddy bear was missing. The others all said they hadn't touched it or seen it. Weeks went by, and she almost forgot about her teddy when something strange happened. She opened the door to one of the closets they hardly ever used, and there on the top shelf sat her furry friend. All of her roommates swore they had no idea how it had happened. Now, whenever the teddy bear goes missing for a few days, she knows exactly where to find it. A voice in the desert. 2 young men in their 20s, Josh and Dan, went on a camping trip together in a desert in New Mexico. They didn't take much with them besides sleeping bags, food, and materials for a fire. After they cooked their dinner, they fell asleep as they gazed up into the starry night sky. The beauty and peace of the trip were short-lived, however. In the early, dark hours of the morning, Josh was startled awake by what sounded like Dan's voice, but frantic. The voice said, "Come here, quick. Look." Sleepy and confused, Josh got up to see what his friend was talking about. He heard again, "Come here, quick. Look." It sounded unnatural, a perfect repetition. Josh took a few steps forward, and then someone grabbed him from behind. He turned around to see Dan with his finger in front of his mouth, warning Josh to keep quiet. They rolled up their sleeping bags and left. They still don't know who or what was trying to lure Josh away into the desert. Echoes of the past. A young bachelor at the beginning of his career became very successful very quickly, so he bought himself a house. One morning, he awoke to the sound of running water. He rushed to the bathroom and saw that the bathtub faucet was running on full blast. He was perturbed by this, as he lived alone. A week later, it happened again, only this time it wasn't just one faucet, it was all the faucets in the house. The young man called a repairman to fix the pipes and the water damage, but, as it turned out, the pipes weren't broken. The repairman, a local, seemed visibly shaken. "What's wrong?" the bachelor asked. "The woman who lived here before you," said the repairman. "She drowned in that bathtub." No one steals twice. Jen went to the same convenience store every day after school for a snack. Over time, she became good friends with the cashier, Lucy. Out of curiosity, one day Jen asked Lucy how she would stop someone if they tried to steal from the store. Lucy replied, "Oh, no one ever steals anything from here twice. The store won't let them." Jen didn't know what that meant but dropped the subject. When she went back to the store at the start of the next school week, Jen walked in to find Lucy talking to some cops. Apparently, a man stole from the store and drove off, but his brakes mysteriously failed and his car went soaring off a cliff. The cops asked Lucy if she knew what happened. "No," she said. "I was stocking the back room. I didn't even know he'd come in. No one ever steals twice." When the candle burns. 3 little girls were having a sleepover one night when they decided to try to host a seance. One of the girls, Clara, recently lost her grandpa and wanted to see if she could commune with his spirit. The 3 girls gathered some candles and a few items that belonged to the late grandfather, his watch, his cigar case, and a photograph of him. The girls held hands and started the seance. Suddenly, the candles began to flicker, and the hands on the watch began to spin. Clara was sure it was her grandpa. Elated, she began to talk to him and ask him questions, when all of a sudden one of the candles flew, as if by some invisible force, and almost hit her head. "Grandpa would never do that," she said, shaking. She was right. It wasn't her grandpa, and whoever it was clearly did not like being disturbed. The curse of the eldest son. Inia's parents came to the United States from Pakistan. Before they were married, Inia's father was engaged to someone else. It was an arranged marriage, and the prospect made him unhappy, so he broke it off. The woman went off the deep end. There were rumors in the town that she had started using black magic. She even ran right up to him in the street one day, screaming that she had put a curse on his eldest son so that he would die before he reached manhood. In fact, Inia's older brother, the eldest son, died in a car crash on his 18th birthday. The uninvited party guest. One night, a group of adults was having a dinner party. There were 6 of them, and they had all just taken their seats when they heard an unexpected knock at the door. The woman hosting the dinner party opened the door to see who it could possibly be, but no one was there. Somebody must have realized they had the wrong address, she explained to her guests. But when they all turned their attention back to the table, there was a 7th plate set. "Was that there before?" one of the men asked. I must have set an extra place by mistake," said the hostess. She took it back to the kitchen, but when she returned, another plate was there, this time with a glass next to it. The other guests had been talking amongst themselves and hadn't seen anything strange. But when they realized what had happened, they were shocked and didn't know what to do. At this point, They figured the best strategy was to play along, so they filled the empty glass and plate so as not to upset their mysterious uninvited party guest. After hours, it was 9 o'clock, time for the store to close. Valerie, Ginny, and Kelly were the only ones working. As they were cleaning up the store, a pile of shirts fell to the floor. None of the girls touched it. "It's probably the ghost," Ginny said. "Very funny," said Kelly. "No, really," Valerie replied. "He's a little boy. He likes to play." Kelly still didn't take them seriously, though. She thought they were teasing her because she was younger. But when she went into the back room to get her keys to go home, she saw a flash of a young boy in the mirror next to her. When she looked back, her keys had been placed on the floor. The lonely Ferris wheel. The carnival came to town every summer, and this year was no different. But Charlie had just started working there, so he didn't know what the rest of the workers knew about the Ferris wheel he was in charge of operating. The first night of the carnival was bustling with people, but as it came time to close, it was practically a ghost town. However, there was one boy who showed up at the last minute. "One for the Ferris wheel, please," the boy said, giving Charlie a ticket. Charlie looked around. "Where are your parents?" he asked the little boy. The boy just took his seat and didn't answer. Unsure of what to do, he let the boy go on the ride. But when the ride was over, the boy was no longer in his seat. Charlie ran to his boss to tell him the story. The boss casually said, "Oh, that's Thomas." He handed Charlie a clipping from an old newspaper. It had the boy's picture and the headline, "Boy falls from Ferris wheel, 8 years old."